The Basic Needs Trust Fund, BNTF, officially handed over the keys to the board for their Top Hill Senior Citizens Home in Carriacou on Friday, 5th June 2015. Mrs. Bernadette Lendor Sylvester, chairperson of the board and permanent secretary in the Ministry of Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs, received the keys on behalf of their Top Hill home. The Top Hill Senior Citizens Home was constructed at a cost of EC $1.3 million under the 6th cycle of BNTF sub-projects. The sub-project was funded by the Caribbean Development Bank, the CDB, and the government of Grenada. CDB approved the sub-project in 2010, and in 2013, the soil turning ceremony was held. The facility, completed in February this year, includes a residence building and an interconnected administrative building. At the time of the BNTF's intervention, the home, which was started in 1984, was then in a very dilapidated state and unsuitable for habitation. The new facility has been rebuilt to the required standards and approved by the Bureau of Standards and the Ministry of Social Development. The facility currently houses 17 residents, but the government is already soliciting funds for expansion. The Rotary Club, Grenada, and diaspora groups and individuals made contributions towards the sustaining of the home. BNTF's representative, Mrs. Lindona Glasgow, reiterated BNTF's commitment to undertake poverty reduction programs while seeking to enhance the living conditions of people through social and economic development. She also thanked the Ministry of Health for housing and residence for the past 6 years in the nurses' hostel in Carriacou.
I'm extremely pleased that we are at this point today for the formal handover ceremony of the Top Hill Senior Citizen Home. The home started in 1984, but BNTF got involved in 2006 when a formal request was made to help rebuild the home, which was then in a very dilapidated state and unsuitable for habitation. Vulnerable groups such as the elderly are a target group of BNTF. We are pleased that this home has been rebuilt to the required standards as approved by the Bureau of Standards and the Ministry of Social Development. We hope this standard will be implemented throughout all senior citizens' homes across the country.
The parliamentary representative for Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs and Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Elvin Nimrod, was also present at the ceremony. In his remarks, he highlighted the many challenges and opportunities met along the way in implementing this sub-project. He said that nonetheless, the government and people were determined to complete this project.
We know that things are hard, times are tough. And we also know that the government had to put in what we call counterpart funding. So CDB has been kind, of course, through BNTF to bring about the project, but the government of Grenada had to put 20%. And my friends, that was difficult times. I remember many occasions when it came to the point where the work had to stop and the government did not have the means. It was painful. And when I called the Prime Minister, and he calls the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Finance, and he said, we don't have it, but let us find it. And though we were late at times, we are always able to meet our commitment, my friends. And this, I think, is emblematic of this government's concern. You know, this government is being referred to as the poor people government, but we're not taking offense to that, because we are indeed not only the poor people government, we have government for everyone. But we also believe that we have an obligation, a solemn obligation, to help those who cannot help themselves. And we have to acknowledge it is a process. So this government takes a holistic approach and a consistent approach to human services. So we know that the elderly who have paid the price, who had endured the hardship, who had laid the foundation, deserve comfort in the golden years.
The Caribbean Development Bank's representative, Mr. George Yearwood, reiterated the bank's commitment to support vulnerable groups, including senior citizens, in partnership with governments, and was proud that the ceremony has materialized.
This facility, as was outlined earlier, was designed in accordance with regional and international standards and in line with your own elderly policy, 2006. We are pleased to see that what was accomplished is a facility which provides appropriate spaces and accommodation which have enhanced the privacy and dignity among male and female residents and provides an improved user-friendly working environment for caregivers. BNTF's primary objective is to help poor, vulnerable communities improve their access to basic services. To this end, it supports the provision of social and economic infrastructure and the promotion of social protection measures. In keeping with this objective, we plan to continue to build the partnership established with the government and people of Grenada, and we will continue to support projects that are financially sound and which hold the promise of additional social value.
Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell attended the ceremony along with officials from the Caribbean Development Bank. Dr. Mitchell highlighted the decision taken by the government upon entering office to put mechanisms in place to restore partnerships with the Caribbean Development Bank Basic Needs Trust Fund project, which provides grants for member states to address poverty.
This CDB presence here is well noted, but it must be known that the government of Grenada is also part of CDB. When you talk about CDB, you're also talking about the government. And it must be recorded, as the representative already said, but I want to reinforce this point, that this BNTF project would not be here today had it not been for the financial commitment of this government. Caribbean Development Bank was downgraded on 2 occasions because the bank couldn't say so, the staff couldn't say so, but when we got there as governor, I could then say so because that was a fact. It was Grenada was responsible. Grenada was not paying its bill, and therefore the bank was downgraded. And it means all the islands in the Caribbean suffered because of Grenada's irresponsibility. But we have corrected this so that today the bank can tell you Grenada is one of the best obligator in terms of meeting its responsibility to the Caribbean Development Bank, so that it can continue to do the excellent work that it's doing to serve the people of the region, acquiring loans internationally and providing on lending to governments to do serious work like we're doing here, that we're opening this important program here today. So, sisters and brothers, I want to reiterate this point and to say that we have to call on all our countrymen to make sacrifices. Yes, it's tough times, in a time when the economy was not doing well. We have to ask people to make sacrifice, and we've said over and over, it's not an easy thing to do, to ask people to make sacrifice when things are not well. But the point is, if we didn't do it, we wouldn't be sitting here today, sisters and brothers, and we would not be having this project.
A memorandum of understanding was signed among BNTF, the Management Board and Ministry of Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs for the implementation and maintenance of the sub-project. The Top Hill Senior Citizens Home is the last sub-project to be completed in the BNTF's 6th cycle.